Turning, looking,
It is game 2 of a 3-game set between the Reds and the Yankees, and Luis Severino is trying to get the Yankees back on track after a really tough night on Tuesday. My recap, your reactions, coming up next. This is Yankees Game Night. How's it going, everybody? I'll tell you what, if a walk-off win ever felt like a loss, tonight's the night. I don't even know what to say. I've got so many emotions going through me. That was a roller coaster of a game. Generally, when I do these openings, I have kind of like a pre-written, I don't know, intro with all sorts of talking points and stuff. But tonight was just such a mess that I'm just going to get right into it. We're just going to go to the recap. Then we're going to get to your comments. Because, honestly, why do I feel like we lost this game? We just walked it off. 11th walk-off of the year. Why do I feel like we lost? In case you missed it, Luis Severino left tonight's game with an apparent shoulder injury. That was the big story of the night. And it's big, but it's not entirely unexpected. At some point this season, the Yankees were going to run into some injury trouble. Every team does. I mean, Wander Franco just had surgery on his hand or wrist or whatever. Jays have lost a couple of pitchers. Red Sox haven't had Sale for much of the season. The Yankees have been pretty fortunate to have their health. But tonight it was evident from the first batter of the game that Severino wasn't feeling right. The fastball was mostly 93, 94 miles an hour. So the velocity was down several miles an hour. You're used to seeing 96, 97, occasional 98, 99. And he had no idea where it was going. He was staying away from the fastball. It seemed like his follow-through was a little bit stiff and a little bit constrained to me. Early, he was kind of throwing the slider, but it was hanging up there, and so he would try and throw the changeup, and that wasn't doing anything. He eventually had to fight through the fastball a little bit, but he was just not good at all. Gave up a run in the first and then gave up 3 consecutive home runs in the second. At that point, his arm speed was noticeably down. I mean, through the television, I tweeted that it looked like his shoulder was bothering him. That's what it looked like to me. Just from experience, I know that when your arm slows down at release, it's because it hurts a little bit. And Aaron Boone went out to talk to him. And gave him a good, stern talking to, like he's, trying to see if he's going to tell him the truth about how he feels. They walk halfway to second base. And to my surprise, Severino stays in the game. To me, that was just malpractice by Boone. He got out of the inning. He had to use that fastball that I was just telling you about. He was throwing at 96 tops, but it looked like he was going max effort to get to 96 with what looked like a sore shoulder. He comes out the next inning, throws one warm-up pitch, and has to leave the game. Which, I mean, what would have happened if they had taken him out after the 3 home runs? He was obviously already feeling something. Did he push it too hard to get through the rest of the inning? Anyway, he comes out. We found out later in the game that the shoulder was the confirmed issue, shoulder tightness. Just a tough one. The Yankees fell down 4-0. J.P. Sears came in to replace Severino. Yankees did get 5 runs back in the bottom of the third on a string of hits and errors and walks. IKF had the big blow. Big 2-run double into the left field gap. On the night that I defended him in my friendly debate with Ryan Garcia. By the way, if you haven't watched that, I posted a video tonight about IKF. He's quite polarizing. Reds went back ahead in the top of the 5th. Most notable play was Joey Gallo kind of coasting after a ball that I thought he should have caught. It's a very catchable ball. It landed on the warning track and bounced over the fence. Now, I wasn't at the game, obviously, so it's hard to judge that angle from the TV camera, the press box cam, because you don't really get a great feel for how far behind him that ball landed. I would like to see some side views, but it looked to me like he took a bad route and kind of coasted because he wanted to play the ricochet off the wall. To me, that's like laying up instead of going for the green when you got an easy shot, baby. It was lazy. It was not in character for him, and it bounced over the wall. The Reds ended up going ahead that inning. Peralta was pretty good out of the pen tonight. Chapman was good out of the pen. Bottom 8, big swing from Mr. Clutch.
That ball is high. It is far. It is gone.
Home run number 23 for Giancarlo Stanton, an opposite field shot just over the short porch. Yankee Stadium was the only stadium where that would have been a home run, so truly a porch job. Top 9, Clay Holmes came in the game, and this is something we got to spend some time talking about too, because he was pretty bad also. He got through it with a scoreless inning, but the control was not there. He was missing up and in to righties and down and away with the breaking ball. And to me, that tells me it's a release point issue. It's generally when you're missing like that, it's like Clark Schmidt's problem that he had when he first came up. It's because you're opening up your front side. You can't see, I'm touching my front hip, my left hip. When you open up your front side too early, it can pull your arm out of the slot. And so a ball that usually gets released here is getting released here. And it's a subtle change, and it's hard to feel, and it's hard to correct for. But he seemed to kind of go back and forth between being utterly terrible, and then when he had to make a pitch, he would make a pitch. So that tells me he's kind of figured out, or at least knows the mechanical issue, and it's just going to take him a couple of reps. He might have a couple of more tough games, but he's going to correct it. But if you watch the replays, you can see that he was kind of falling off towards first base, which is a symptom. That's when you study pitching, or you pitch for a long time and watch a lot of film, you start to recognize bad habits, right? You start to recognize symptoms that go along with certain repeatable mistakes. So if you're missing up and in with your fastball, a lot of times it's you can tell because the first symptom is that you'll be falling off towards first base. And I noticed that more tonight. I was looking for it. Top 10, Mike King worked into and out of trouble. A little bit of a Houdini act. And then bottom 10, Yankees walk it off on a wild pitch. Let's just play the sound.
Ball game over. Yankees win. Go! Yankees win!
More of that, please.
Junior Caroma says, we'll take the gift from the Reds. I agree. I mean, they're a bad team, and they give away games like this. But really, neither one of these games should have been close. The Yankees should have absolutely wrecked shop the last two nights. One thing I didn't mention in the recap is Carpenter pinch hit in the ninth and took one right to the warning track. I don't know why he's not been in the lineup the last couple of days. I get it, there's a lefty tonight, Mike Minor, but he was a trash lefty that the Yankees should have clobbered even worse than they did. You know, he did give up 5 runs and had 3 walks. But Carpenter's been your hottest hitter, and sitting him for, this many days, sit him for 2 days after a day off, I mean, it's like you're intentionally trying to cool him off. So, I really want to see him get more at-bats, more opportunities, especially, tough night for Gallo again, and we'll get to the box score in just a second. He had some tough pitches called on him for strikes that I thought weren't particularly fair, but another tough night for him. And we got some super donos that I want to get to real quick. A. Rothman says, Boone is downright awful with his decision-making these past couple of games. Bad bullpen decisions and not starting Carpenter last night. Appreciate the dono. Edward Breen says, Judge has been dog water for a month. Also completely abandoned his right center approach. So I do think pitchers are trying to run the ball in on him more. So it's tough to take that pitch to right field. But, end of the game, I think it was bottom 10, he tried to pull that last pitch. It was a fastball on the outside part of the plate, straight as an arrow, and he tried to pull it, and he pulled off, and that's why he missed. His head was looking towards left field. To me, I think Judge is nursing an injury. They've given him a lot of random days off with that mysterious lower body soreness. I think he's fighting like a groin or a hamstring thing that's not bad enough to put him on the IL, but bad enough that it's diminishing his performance. I personally, if I were him and I was feeling anything, I would sit out the All-Star game. I know Major League Baseball wants to see him. I know the fans want to see him. But right now, winning the World Series and being something better than dog water in the second half is much more important. Stone Cold with the dono says, I don't mind IKF, but he is meh as a player. I'm not going to fight you. Another error tonight. He's got the most errors in the league, 11 errors. But he also picked up a big hit. He had 2 doubles. He used right field and left field. So, like IKF, he's been a lot of up and down. The interview I did with Ryan Garcia, who's a great kid, by the way, Fireside Yankees, we talked about, the positives and the negatives. The metrics, they don't like how on offense he doesn't really take pitches. He doesn't see a lot of pitches, and he generally doesn't hit the ball hard. But I like his spray chart. He hits the ball all over the field. And in a big spot, I'd let him hit. But the defense has got to improve. It has got to improve. Yeah.
We spend $250 billion a year on defense.
Mark Peterson says, if Judge had a proper strike zone, he'd be halfway to 62. Well, he's almost. That just means he'd have one more home run. He's got 30 home runs. That's just one shy of halfway to 62. Some of these strike calls are ridiculous, and I'm not going to argue with you.
Excellent.
Appreciate the dono. The strike calls have been horrendous to him, but they were horrendous on the whole team for both sides tonight, both teams. All right, let's go to the box score real quick. This is an interesting box score to look at for sure. So Mike King gets win number 6 on the year. Aaron Judge, 0 for 4 tonight. You see LeMahieu with a couple of hits. Rizzo, 0 for 4 tonight. Did pick up a ribby. Giancarlo Stanton with his 23rd home run of the year. The average at 237. I really want to see him get over 240. I don't like averages 230s or below. To me, you got to hit 240 in the big leagues. Now, the power makes up for it. The OPS is obviously outstanding, 833. But, he could have a 900 OPS if he'd hit 250, 260. Gleyber Torres, 1 for 4 tonight. He hit a soft line drive, drove in a couple of runs. Just 1 RBI credited to him. 275, 822 OPS. Donaldson, another tough night, 0 for 3. He's been very streaky. He'll have one game where he looks like Ted Williams, and then he'll have another game where he has no clue. It's just odd to watch him. Also, the defense has not been good for Donaldson lately. He butchered another one tonight. Kiner Falefa, 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs. Good night for him. 271. And it just occurred to me, we didn't give out the belt. We're going to have to give out the belt in just a minute. Higashioka 0 for 3. And then Gallo 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. Still hitting 166. Seems to have settled in at around 166. Severino allows 4 runs tonight. And JP Sears allows 2 in relief. Yankees used a ton of pitchers tonight. Abreu, I thought, looked good. Touched 100 with the fastball. And, Peralta and Chapman were both okay. Holmes struggled a bit, but got through it. And King, I thought he had a nice little Houdini act. Lori C says, does the Benintendi vaccine situation eliminate him from trade consideration? And I think absolutely. That's a fantastic question. Can't play against your rivals in Toronto. I mean, what if you play Toronto in the playoffs? You going to sit out Benintendi? To me, that's just it's stupid at this point. How many people, like 90% of the population has gotten their shot? Just get it so you can play. Oh, come on, guys. All right, let's go back and get the belt going. And the winner of the vote, thanks to his big home run tonight, Giancarlo Stanton.
Let's go. Belt winner.
Oh, why is it shrinking on me? I had to adjust it because I moved my belt over just a little bit, and so everything's kind of screwed up a little bit. All right, let's put on some chill music here, and let's just go through your comments for a little bit. James G says, Holmes didn't throw one pitch in the strike zone until Rizzo had a chat with him. Huge leadership. I thought the same thing when I saw Rizzo go over there. He recognized that Holmes was struggling with something mentally. And he said, hey, look, just calm down, throw it over the plate, let him hit it. Your stuff is nasty. You've got a ton of sink. You're tough to square up. Just let him hit it. And he came in and he's settled down a little bit from there. He kind of got away from it a bit, but I really think it's a very small mechanical tweak. And we will have Jonathan Loizaga back soon. That will help. But Ian says the incredible shrinking Stanton, apparently. Honey, I shrunk the Stanton. Ariadna says the Blue Jays manager got fired today. That's not shocking. I was actually surprised a little bit. Now, the Blue Jays have definitely underperformed for sure. But I thought Montoya was, in general, a pretty good manager. Seemed to get his guys pumped. Everybody seemed loose in the dugout on the clubhouse. Or, I can't really see the clubhouse, but, it seemed like everybody was loose. But, again, I don't follow the Jays that closely unless they're playing the Yankees. So it came as kind of a surprise to me. I think Joe Madden being available, if he is still available, I don't know if he's agreed with anybody yet, but I think that him going to the division would be a get for the Blue Jays. James G says Orioles coming in hot. They showed signs of it earlier this year. They've played the Yankees tough all year long, and I'm actually happy to see them playing well. It's they've always been a fun team to watch when they're good, but I don't like their new ballpark dimensions. That left field is trash. Lori C says, will Herman take Sevy's place? I think it's pretty much a guarantee that Severino's going to go on the IL. And for a number of reasons. One, you've got the 14-plus game lead now in the American League East. And Severino was approaching the innings issue anyway. And with shoulders, you never know. They can be a problem. They can bark for a long time. Now, if it's just a case of some inflammation, which I hope, they're going to give him a cortisone shot. They're going to put him on the IL. He's going to be shut down for 10 to 14 days. And then he'll throw from flat ground. Then he'll probably make a rehab start after a bullpen or two. And then you'll get him back. I don't see any scenario that they're going to take chances with Luis Severino, especially with some of the pitching that they have available. The J.P. Sears, the Domingo Germán's coming back. Waldachuk pitching really well in the minor leagues, although you would need to clear a spot for him. I don't see any scenario that Severino pitches again before August 15th. I really don't. And I think best case scenario is that he comes back and he gives you 6 or 7 starts before the playoffs. Really, you just want to get him ready for the playoffs. He's thrown a ton of innings. If the Yankees are in good shape at that point, I would ease him back if he's even able to come back. I guess we'll find out. He's definitely going to have an MRI. Board Rican Veteran says, missed my super chat, but I feel like IKF is a great defender, at least his range. He just has to work on his throws, and he'll be elite again. I appreciate the dono, man. We've had a lot of them come through, so I'm sorry I don't catch them all. That's one of the issues with, how big this chat has gotten after each game. Sometimes it moves really quick, and I don't like putting on slow mode, which is a feature that YouTube has that limits how often people can post. But I might have to do it once in a while just so I don't miss any more super donos, but I appreciate that. Douglas Rao, great takes constantly, says, Garrett Cole gets paid more than the Orioles' entire roster. I think their highest paid player is their payment deferment to Chris Davis. That's pretty funny. Oh, man. Wayne J wants to go with Sears. I think I would probably go with Sears, too. I think Herman's stuff plays a little bit better out of the bullpen than J.P. Sears. I like lefties as starters in Yankee Stadium. It's one of the reasons that I'm a big Jordan Montgomery fan. We all got spoiled with Pettit and Wells. Cortez has done a really nice job. If you can make your pitches where you can throw a little bit of a cutting action inside to righties in Yankee Stadium, it's really tough to hit that ball the other way. And if they do hit it to left field, you gotta really hit that thing crisp to get it over that 399 in left center. So I think there's a serious case for J.P. Sears to take over in the rotation. Ian says, do you think there isn't a trade for the starting pitcher at the deadline? Sorry, I butchered that. I think Luis Castillo is a real possibility. He wasn't in my original top 10 trades because Montas was the guy at that point, but Montas has since gotten hurt. So I may have to revise that and do a few more. Jan LeBron says trade Florial and Andujar for pitching. Unfortunately, Jan, thank you for the dono. I don't think that Florial and Andujar would get you much pitching. I really don't. I think you'd have to give up a prospect. Kenyon Tadlock says, what's up with Luis Medina? Well, what's interesting about Luis Medina is about a month ago, he was dominating in Double-A. He got that ERA down to 3.00, but then he had a stretch of 3 starts where he got shellacked, and it shot up to 3.67. I haven't seen it in a few days, but he's been a little bit too inconsistent. He's another guy that struggles with command of the baseball. I think he's got a world of potential, but the Yankees would probably be a little bit more aggressive with him if they thought his control was ready. I think he'd probably be in AAA by now because of his stuff. Mark Peterson says, where is Davy Garcia? Thank you for another dono.
He's done it again.
Davy Garcia is having a miserable season again at AAA. The Yankees tried to correct his pitching motion because he was throwing across his body. So they made a number of mechanical tweaks, and essentially it screwed up all of his pitches. And so that was on the Yankees coaching. They've completely screwed Davy Garcia, and I doubt we'll ever see Davy Garcia in the major leagues again. He's a trade candidate for me because I believe he's on the 40-man roster, and at this point he's a project for somebody. But if you need to clear a roster spot, he's somebody that I could see being moved. Marcus Killigrew says almost every team has had pitching injuries. 100% correct. I mean, 2 years ago you had COVID, and then last year guys being stretched out after not being stretched out the year before, and now you're starting to see the repercussions of that. Guys are wearing down earlier. I thought the pitching in the league came out strong. We saw offense at both the major league and minor league level was severely down earlier in the year. They've switched back to the juicier balls, and that sounded bad, but they've switched back, and and pitchers are starting to get hurt, and so you're seeing offense come back. But hey, look, Yankees win this one. It was a win that didn't feel particularly fun to watch or experience until the last moment, but a win is a win, and you can't take it away. And hopefully the Yankees can win the series tomorrow night. You do snap the losing streak, so it is what it is. One more time from John Sterling.
Ball game over. Yankees win. The Yankees
Mike D.
win.
Carp and JP have got to play more. Wholeheartedly agree.
More of that, please.
One shot says Girardi to the Jays. Is that what happened? I don't know if that's happened yet or if that's just like a rumor, but that seems like a good match. Pamela Davis says Medina needs to go to the bullpen. I don't know if you mean the major leagues or the minor leagues, but he's got a 100-mile-an-hour fastball and a Dwight Gooden curveball. Command is just the issue, and in the bullpen, you got to have great command, as we saw tonight. Can't be walking guys, because you walk that leadoff hitter, especially against a good team, they can make you pay. But luckily, the Yankees got away with it a little bit against the Reds. I will see you guys tomorrow for the series finale.